tonight it is 7:32 p.m. on March 11th, 2025. Good evening. My name is Christian Klein. I am the chair of the Arlington Zoning Board of Appeals, and I am calling this meeting of the board to order. First, I would like to confirm that all members and anticipated officials are present. Members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, we have Roger DuPont.
Here.
We have Patrick Hanlon.
Here.
Venkat Hully.
Here.
Adam LeBlanc.
Here.
And our associate, Bradley Baranowski.
Here.
Good to have you all with us. Here on behalf of the town, we have Colleen Ralston, our zoning assistant.
Here.
Nice. And then we have 3 hearings this evening. I will note for the everyone who's present that all 3 of these will be continued without further discussion this evening due to various requests, which I will go through after we go through the rest of the introductory materials. I did just want to see if there was, if Mr. Troyer was here on behalf of 20 Pond Lane. I don't believe so. And I don't believe Ms. O'Connor is here in regards to Woodside.
Christian,
And-
I believe Nicholas Boyd is for Pond Lane.
Oh, okay.
Doug is supposed to be on the call. This is Nicholas Boyd. He may just be having a login issue.
Oh, okay. Good. We're glad to have you with us. And then I don't know if Mr. Singh or Ms. Casey or Mr. Lodge are here on behalf of 28 Draper. I don't believe so. Okay. Well, tonight's meeting of the Arlington Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted remotely, consistent with the supplemental budget bill signed by Governor Healy on March 29th, 2023, which extended temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to March 31st, 2025. The extension of these provisions allows public bodies to hold their meetings remotely by providing live, adequate alternative means of public access to the deliberations. This meeting is being recorded and will be broadcast by ACMi. Members of the public who are participating via Zoom and who wish to offer public comment should be aware that they will be asked to provide their full name and address so that a complete public record of the meeting can be taken in accordance with state law. All participants of this meeting are advised that people may be listening to this meeting without offering public comment, and those people are not required to identify themselves. Any votes that are taken this evening will be conducted by roll call. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. As chair, I reserve the right to take items out of order in the interest of promoting an orderly meeting. I'm going to, so looking at our agenda for this evening, I'm going to go ahead and skip the rest of the administrative items for now and just go straight to the hearing section. So as I noted, there are 3 hearings that are listed this evening on our agenda, and all 3 of them have requested a continuance. So the first we'll move to is item 9 on our agenda, docket 3822, 20 Pond Lane. So after we received notice, it was posted to the website from the applicant. They're in negotiations with a buyer for the property, and so where they have a specific buyer now, they're need to make a specific request, and their current application is out of date. So what we have requested of them and what they're in the process of doing is the board is going to re-advertise the hearing with the updated materials. So the public is better informed as to what the revised scope of the request is. And the applicant will be providing updated information to the board that'll be available on the board's website. Mr. Troyer, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, we have submitted the supplemental memo that identifies, in essence, basically, the applicant has entered into a P&S agreement with John Wheatley, who is the owner of W.R. Shattuck and Company. And we have updated the application online as well as submitted a supplemental memorandum that kind of identifies exactly what we're looking to do. In essence, and I won't get into the specifics, but in essence, it's really because this property has a commercial use of a garage and the single residence, it offers an opportunity for him to have some extra storage for his hardware business, and that's literally all that he's looking to do. Very similar to what Nick Boyd, the current owner, has been doing there for years. So I believe I have provided that additional information. I'm more than happy to provide additional information if the board feels that I'm lacking. I also noticed that Michael Samander filed an opposition, and I would like to reach out to him and have a conversation with him and with Mr. Wheatley so that he can understand exactly what we're looking to do there. This is not a Monday through Friday, all hours of the day operation. This is very similar to what has been doing there historically. And I think after we have a conversation, we may be more on the same page. But I do agree that it has been some time. Continuing this to April 8th to renotice this and to provide additional information does make sense. And I appreciate the chair's patience in this regard.
Absolutely. Thank you. So with that, are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, the Board of Appeals for the town, I move that the Board of Appeals for the town of Arlington continue the public hearing for docket 3822 20 Pond Lane to Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. So roll call vote of the board to continue. Mr. DuPont,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
Yes.
Mr. Hawley,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Mr. Baranowski,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes, we are continued on docket 3822. Thank you to the applicants for being here.
Yes, and again, if there's any additional information, please reach out, and I look forward to explaining everything to you on the 8th. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 10 on our agenda, docket 3830, 39 Woodside Lane. This was a project that we had continued at an earlier hearing. The applicant has requested a further continuance to allow them some additional time in order to revise what their proposal and to come up with something that, in their opinion, is more in keeping with what the board had requested they look at. So with that, they have requested a continuance until beginning of May. So that date would be Tuesday, May 13th. So with that, the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Arlington moves to continue the public hearing for docket 3830, 39 Woodside Lane to Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. The second.
Second.
Thanks, Mr. Hanlon. So vote of the board to continue on Woodside Lane. Mr. DuPont,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
Yes.
Mr. Hawley,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Mr. Baranowski,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So we are continued on 39 Woodside Lane. That brings us to item 11 on our agenda, which is docket 3835, 28 Draper Street. This is a hearing. I do note a hand raised. Is this in Mr. Moore? Can I ask what this is in regards to?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to know, since you had mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that these are Zoom meetings
Yep.
funded by the state until March 31st.
Yes.
So what does that mean for the May meeting?
That is a very good question. So the governor not to get too deep in the weeds, the governor submitted the Municipal Empowerment Act at the beginning of the year. This act has a lot of provisions, one of which would be to make permanent the ability for boards and commissions to meet either in hybrid or remotely. And obviously we are all very, very hopeful that this gets passed before the end of the month. Should it not get passed by the state before the 8th of April, the board would need to meet in person under state law, because that the ability to meet remotely would be rescinded. We have high hopes that it will be approved by the state and allow us to continue meeting in this format. The board has found that this format works well for not only for the for the members of the board, but also for the general public. We've found we've had much better participation by the public being in this format than we did when we were meeting in person. I strongly encourage anyone to write to their state senator, write to their state representative, and ask them to please get this moving so that this is in place by the end of the month. It's really important for a lot of these boards.
All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for bringing that up. 28 Draper Street. So this hearing was opened by us at our last session. We had encouraged the applicants to continue because we had some questions that we had wanted to follow up with council and with the building inspector. As a result of those discussions, it was felt that there was more time should be given to the applicant to consider what the results of those discussions before they come back before the board. And so they've requested a further continuance to our next meeting, which is on March 25th. So with that, I would move that the Zoning Board of Appeals for the Town of Arlington continue the public hearing for docket 3835 28 Draper Street until Tuesday, March 25th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. So vote of the board to continue, Mr. DuPont,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
Yes.
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Mr. Baranowski,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. So we are continued on 28 Draper Street. So that is the end of our public hearings. It brings us back to the administrative items on our agenda this evening. These items relate to the operation of the board and generally will not be the introduction of new information on any previous item brought before the board, which essentially we will be voting on a series of minutes this evening. So the first, excuse me, is the minutes from the November 12th meeting of the board. In general, all of these were distributed by Ms. Ralston to members of the board with an opportunity to provide comment and any corrections, and then those should have been returned to her by today. So I'm just going to go quickly through these by date, voting on each individually by date. If anyone has additional comments on any of the particular minutes, please let me know. We'll stop and discuss them. So first is November 12th, 2024. Are there any additional comments? Seeing none, I move to approve the minutes from the November 12th, 2024 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. So members of the board who were present, Mr. DuPont,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
Yes.
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Next is November 26th, 2024. Any additional comments on that? Seeing none, I move to approve the minutes from the November 26th, 2024 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. Vote of the board, Mr. DuPont,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
Yes.
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Brings us to December 10th, 2024. Are there any adjustments to the December 10th, 24? Seeing none, I move to approve the minutes from the December 10th, 2024 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
Thanks, Mr. Hanlon. Members who are present, Mr. Hanlon,
Yes.
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
chair votes yes. That brings us to January 4th, 2025. Are there any additional questions or comments in regards to the January 14, 2025 minutes? Seeing none, I move we approve the minutes from the January 14th, 2025 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. Vote of the members present, Mr. Hanlon,
Yes.
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
and chair votes yes. That brings us to the minutes from January 28th, 2025. Are there any adjustments to the January 28th, 2025 minutes? Seeing none, I move to approve the minutes from the January 28th, 2025 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
second,
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. Vote of the board, Mr. Hanlon,
yes,
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Mr. Baranowski.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that is approved. Next is the minutes from our February 11th, 2025 meeting of the board. Are there any further comments in regards to the February 11th minutes? Seeing none, I move to approve the minutes from the February 11th, 2025 meeting of the Arlington Zoning Board of Appeals.
second,
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. Vote of the board, Mr. DuPont,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
yes,
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Mr. Baranowski,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes, that is approved. That brings us to February 25th, 2025. Are there any changes to the February 25th, 2025 minutes? Seeing none, I move to approve the minutes from the February 25th, 2025 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
second,
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. Vote of the board, Mr. DuPont,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
yes,
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Mr. Baranowski.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that is approved. Okay. That is the end of our administrative items. We've already touched on the one thing that I had wanted to bring up, which was the Municipal Empowerment Act and encouraging people to talk to their representative or senators to encourage passage of that to allow us to continue meeting beyond March 31st, 2025 in the remote context. I also wanted to mention to members of the board that April is traditionally the month where we hold elections for officers of the board. We typically vote on a chair and a vice chair. So if anyone is interested in serving in those positions, please let me know. And happy to discuss with you what's involved in the position. And we'll hold elections at the second meeting in April on that, which I believe is the 22nd. Yeah. There anything else that people would like to discuss? I think if there's anything else, I know that the Arlington Redevelopment Board is in the process right now of holding public hearings for zoning bylaw amendments. If you go to their website, you can look at the schedule for those hearings. They held hearing last week or the week before, I think it was last week, for some of the changes that this board had recommended in regards to the section 6110A on residential parking and on definition for lot coverage. So those two have been discussed. Yesterday, I believe they talked about accessory dwelling units and a couple of other items. But they have hearings scheduled, and the final vote on everything, I believe, is at their first meeting in April, which I think is April 7th. So encourage people who are interested in those to go take a look at that. Otherwise, unless there's anything else?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. DuPont.
so I just wanted to mention that I did have the opportunity when we had the Draper Avenue hearing to speak afterwards, and I'm not going to address any of the comments. But I did have the opportunity afterwards to speak to Jacqueline Munson, the Assistant Town Council, with regard to the section of the bylaw that we were dealing with, non-conforming uses and structures. And I, at the time too, talked to her a little bit about the, the ADU statute that was passed, that she provided a copy of. And I had just suggested to her that maybe it wouldn't hurt to have the board have a little bit of a tutorial about where things stand. Because it does sound to me like we're sort of being taken out of the ADU business in large part. And but I didn't know if there is sort of anything that lingers for us to know about or to consider. So I just thought that, after talking to her, she was really knowledgeable and helpful, and I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea if, she spent 10, 15 minutes or something like that answering
Yeah.
questions and sort of going over what the law is now.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I can talk to her and see if we can get some notes on that. That'd be helpful.
Yeah, she said she'd be happy to speak to us, I believe.
Oh, great.
That was it.
Okay. The only other business I have, so this board several years ago had deliberated a comprehensive permit application for Thorndike Place, which is the Mugar property in East Arlington. From the time that we concluded our deliberations and issued our decision, it had gone to court for like a year and a half. And then the applicant had filed with the Conservation Commission under the State Wetlands Act. And the final decision on that application was rendered last Thursday. And in a 2-2 vote of the board, of the commission, they did not approve the state wetlands application from the applicant. So it's kind of back in limbo again. We don't know what the applicant is going to be doing. And I haven't seen the formal written decision, but that was the report I received at that meeting. So just thought it might be of interest to members of the board. Many of us who spent many an hour on that. Right.
Mr. Chair, could I
Mr. Moore.
comment? I'm shocked to hear that. I didn't know that. The Conservation Commission has been meeting on this for months.
Year and a half.
Wow, that just that shocks me. Anyway, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. There is an extensive write-up on your Arlington, but hopefully there will be a written decision coming out of the Conservation Commission before long. So I would like to, at this point, I'd like to thank you all for your participation in tonight's meeting of the Arlington Zoning Board of Appeals. I appreciate everyone's patience throughout the meeting. I would especially like to thank Colleen Ralston, Mike Champa, Mike Cunningham, and Jacqueline Munson for their assistance in preparing for and hosting our online meeting. Please note the purpose of the board's recording of the meeting is to ensure the creation of an accurate record of the proceedings. It is our understanding that the recording made by ACMi will be available on demand at acmi.tv within the coming days. If anyone has comments or recommendations, please send them via email to zba@town.arlington.ma.us. That email address is also listed on the Zoning Board of Appeals website. And to conclude tonight's meeting, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. And thanks, DuPont. Roll call vote to adjourn. Mr. DuPont.
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon.
Yes.
Mr. Holly.
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc.
Yes.
Mr. Baranowski.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. The board is adjourned.
Night, everyone.
Good
Night,
night, all.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Nine.